The loudest person in the room rarely wins the war of life. It's not noise, not chaos, not constant movement that builds greatness. It's silence. Because in silence, the brain sharpens. In silence, born, and in silence, you build the foundation of victory. Let's begin with something most people overlook. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is a neurological tool. When you strip away the noise, it doesn't shut down. In fact, it activates in powerful ways that few people realize. Research shows that moments of silence, even just 2 minutes, trigger growth in the hippocampus, brain region responsible for memory and learning. Silence is not passive. It's regenerative. It's like a reset button for the nervous system. When you step into quiet, your brain begins to recalibrate. Stress hormones lower. The prefrontal cortex, the area of your brain responsible for focus and decision making, comes back online. This is why silence has such a profound impact. It doesn't just feel peaceful. It restructures your brain to perform better. Think about it. Every day, your mind is bombarded. Notifications, conversations, background noise, constant stimulation hijacks your attention, scattering it in dozens of directions. Your brain is forced into a reactive mode, jumping from one thing to the next, never having the chance to fully settle. Over time, fractures your ability to focus deeply, but silence interrupts that cycle. It acts like a vacuum for noise, pulling the mind inward, forcing it to reorganize itself. When you sit in quiet, your brain waves slow down. You move from the fast, chaotic beta waves into alpha waves, the rhythm of calm alertness. This is the exact state where learning accelerates, where creativity blossoms, emerges. And here's the paradox. Silence feels empty, but in the brain, it is full of activity. In quiet, the default mode network, the system that integrates memory, imagination, self-awareness, begins to activate. This is why breakthroughs often come in stillness. Why great thinkers, artists, and leaders throughout history sought solitude. They weren't escaping the world, were reprogramming their brains for insight. Now, let's connect this to focus. The nervous system has 2 gears: fight or flight, and rest and repair. When you're overstimulated, noise, you live in fight or flight, cortisol rises. Your attention narrows but becomes unstable, darting around like a flashlight with a dying battery. But in silence, your nervous system shifts into balance, stress hormones drop, dopamine, the neurotransmitter of motivation and drive, begins to stabilize. This creates the conditions for deep, stable focus. Silent focus, we're not talking about sitting quietly for its own sake. We're talking about giving your brain the conditions it needs to reorganize, recharge, redirect itself toward the things that matter most. Let me give you an example. Athletes who train in silence often report deeper connection with their bodies. They can feel every movement, every adjustment. Who practice without distraction reach levels of mastery far beyond those who allow constant interruption. And thinkers, entrepreneurs, those who carve out time for silence make decisions not from chaos, but from clarity. The science is undeniable. Silence strengthens the brain. But here's the challenge. Most people are terrified of silence. They fill every gap with noise because silence forces them to confront themselves. And yet this confrontation is where growth begins. If you can embrace silence, not as emptiness, but as power, you gain an edge over nearly everyone around you, because in a world addicted to noise, ability to withdraw into silence and emerge with clarity is a superpower. So the first step to building yourself in peace is to understand this truth. Silence is not weakness. It is not wasted time, training for your brain. It is how you shift your nervous system from chaos to clarity, from scattered energy to focused drive. The neuroscience is clear. Your brain is built in silence. Your focus is sharpened in silence, and your growth, your peace, your victory all begin when you give yourself permission to be still. Because when you master silence, you don't just quiet the noise around you, you activate the deepest power within you. Know that we understand how silence strengthens the brain. We need to confront the opposite force. The noise trap isn't just sound, it's stimulation, it's distraction. It's the endless barrage of inputs your nervous system is forced to process every single day. The messages, the notifications, scrolling, the chatter of the outside world, it all adds up to a brain that is constantly on defense, never fully focused, never fully present. This is the trap of our generation: activity for productivity, mistaking stimulation for growth. We confuse motion with progress. But the truth is, when you live in noise, your brain is never truly learning, never truly building, never truly focusing. It's just reacting. Let's look at the science. Every time you check your phone, every time you shift your attention from one thing to another, you trigger a surge of dopamine. Feels good for a moment, but it comes at a cost. The more you chase quick hits of dopamine, the harder it becomes to sustain deep focus. Over time, the brain becomes wired to seek distraction, to crave noise, addiction cycle of overstimulation. And here's the dangerous part. You may not even realize you're trapped in it, because on the surface, it feels like you're busy, like you're working, but underneath, your nervous system is draining. Your ability to hold attention, to concentrate deeply, is being eroded. So the question is, how do we escape? The first step is awareness. Recognize that not all noise is external. Yes, your environment matters. Loud places, constant interruptions, too many inputs, they weaken focus. But just as damaging is the internal noise, the self-talk, the worry loops, the mental chatter that keeps the brain spinning. Silence is not only about shutting out the outside world, it's about learning to quiet the noise inside as well. 2 is deliberate disconnection. If you want to reclaim your focus, you must create moments in your day where you remove yourself from the noise trap. Mean abandoning technology or isolating yourself completely. It means structuring your environment so your nervous system can recover. For example, set boundaries with your devices. No phone for the first 30 minutes after waking, no scrolling in the final hour before bed. Choose blocks of time for deep work, 90 minutes of silence, no interruptions, no distractions. Go for a walk without headphones, without input, and let your mind settle. These practices sound simple, but neurologically, they are profound. Because every time you choose silence over noise, you rewire your brain for focus instead of distraction. You strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that controls disciplined decision making and willpower. 3 is to replace reactive habits with intentional ones. Most people respond to noise without thinking. The phone buzzes, they look. The feed updates, they scroll. The email dings, they check. Each reaction fragments focus and keeps the brain in survival mode. But when you build intentional habits, choosing when to engage, choosing when to disconnect, you flip the balance of control. You stop being controlled by the noise and start controlling it. Now, let me be clear, silence does not mean isolation from the world. It does not mean rejecting stimulation forever. It means mastering it, knowing when to step into the noise and when to step away, because the truth is great performance requires both. Athletes need the crowd, but they also need the quiet of training. Leaders need the meetings, but they also need the solitude of reflection. Musicians need the stage, but they also need the silent hours of practice. When you master this balance, you escape the trap. You no longer mistake business for productivity. You no longer let noise define your pace. You begin to see that the deepest growth happens not in constant activity, but in controlled silence. Here's the final piece. Escaping the noise trap gives you an advantage in a distracted world. While others scatter their energy, you conserve yours. While others drown in stimulation, you rise above it. While others chase noise, you master focus. So escaping the noise trap is not about rejecting the world. It's about reclaiming your brain. It's about teaching your nervous system to thrive in clarity rather than drown in chaos, because only when you free yourself from the noise can you truly step into the power of silent focus. Only then can you begin to build yourself, not in chaos, in peace. Now that we've explored the neuroscience of silence and the danger of the noise trap, let's talk about what happens when you harness silent focus. Make no mistake, silent focus is not just a tool, it is a superpower. When you cultivate the ability to focus in silence, you tap into one of the rarest human skills, the capacity for deep attention. And in a world consumed by noise, this becomes your greatest advantage. Let me explain why. The human brain has limited attentional resources. Think of it as a spotlight. Wherever that spotlight shines, neural circuits strengthen, skills are built, memories form, insights emerge. But if the spotlight keeps scattering, jumping from one thing to another, it loses power. Nothing sticks. Nothing grows. Silent focus sharpens that spotlight into a laser. It allows you to take the force of your attention and direct it at a single pursuit. And here's what neuroscience tells us. When attention is deep and undivided, neurons fire together in stronger, more stable patterns. Synapses strengthen. Pathways in the brain literally rewire themselves to support mastery. Silent focus produces results that seem almost superhuman. It accelerates learning, it deepens memory, it fuels creativity, it builds resilience. Because when you are fully immersed, without distraction, you access states of mind that most people never touch. Consider this: elite athletes describe being in the zone. Musicians talk about losing themselves in their instruments. Writers enter flow states where hours pass like minutes. These are not mystical experiences. They are the direct result of silent focus. Moments where the brain's spotlight locks on, everything else fades away. The science confirms it. When you enter deep focus, your brain releases acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that sharpens learning and plasticity. Dopamine, the molecule of motivation, not in chaotic spikes, but in sustained, steady release, and norepinephrine, which controls alertness, rises just enough to keep you engaged without tipping into stress. This cocktail of chemistry is the recipe for peak performance. And yet, most people never taste it. Why? Because they never give themselves silence. They never allow themselves the conditions to enter this state in noise, chasing shallow stimulation, never touching the depth of what their brain is capable of. But you can change that. Silent focus is a discipline. It means creating environments where distraction is impossible. It means protecting time where your brain can dive deeply into one pursuit. It means being willing to disconnect from the noise long enough to reconnect with your own potential. Imagine what this would look like in your life. You sit to study, not with a buzzing phone beside you, endless notifications, but in stillness. Within minutes, your mind begins to settle. Distractions fade, you enter flow, and suddenly you grasp concepts that once felt overwhelming. You train your body not with background noise pulling at your attention, but with silence that lets you feel every muscle, every movement. Progress accelerates. Skills sharpen, you work on your craft, writing, building, creating, and instead of splintering your focus, you give it fully to the task. Hours pass. You emerge not drained, but energized because you've tapped into the natural rhythm of deep work. This is the power of silent focus. It doesn't just make you more productive. It transforms who you are. It trains your nervous system to stay calm under pressure, teaches your brain to value depth over distraction. It rewires you for mastery. And here's the truth. This ability is rare. In a distracted world, very few people will ever learn to master it, which means you set yourself apart. While others scatter, you concentrate. While others consume, you create. While others are overwhelmed, you are grounded, clear, unstoppable. Why I call silent focus a superpower, because it is not ordinary, it is not common, it is exceptional. It is the ability to step into silence and emerge sharper, stronger, more capable than you were before. The most powerful part, anyone can cultivate it. It doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter how distracted you've been. If you are willing to create silence, you are willing to train your focus, you can access this state. Silent focus will make you unstoppable, not because it changes the world around you, but because it changes you. And once you change, harness that superpower, there is nothing, no noise, no chaos, no distraction that can pull you off your path. When people think of strength, they think of muscle, they think of grit. They think of fighting against the world with force. But what if I told you true strength is not built in noise, not in chaos, not in endless battles? True strength, the kind that endures, that shapes leaders, creators, warriors, is built in stillness. Let me explain. Your nervous system has two modes. The first is fight or flight, driven by the sympathetic nervous system. The mode is survival. It's fast, reactive, fueled by stress. It helps you run from danger, respond to threats, and push through challenges. But it is not sustainable. You cannot live there forever without burning out. The second is rest and digest, governed by the parasympathetic nervous system. This is where repair happens. This is where learning consolidates, where growth takes place, where your immune system strengthens, and where emotional balance is restored. Stillness, true silence, activates this second mode. It allows your body and brain to recalibrate. It is in stillness that you recover from the battles of life. And here's the paradox. The more you train yourself to embrace stillness, the stronger you become when it's time to move, when it's time to act. Think about the strongest trees. They don't grow in storms. They grow in seasons of calm, when roots dig deeper, silently beneath the surface. Human strength is built too, not just in outward struggle, but in the quiet, invisible work happening when no one is watching. Now, let's go deeper into what science shows us. When you spend time in silence, your brain activates the default mode network. This is not wasted time. This is the system that processes emotions, organizes memories, and makes sense of your identity. In silence, your mind weaves together meaning. It helps you build resilience, not just physical resilience, but emotional and mental strength. Think about it. How many times have you felt overwhelmed, scattered, or emotionally reactive simply because you never allowed yourself stillness? Noise robs you of inner balance. Silence restores it, and balance is strength. Here's where it becomes powerful. You consistently practice silent focus. You train emotional discipline. Instead of reacting to every stressor, every criticism, every distraction, you learn to pause, to breathe, to observe before you respond. This is strength of the highest order, the ability to control your inner world regardless of what the outer world throws at you. And it's not just emotional. Stillness sharpens your physical strength as well. Show that deliberate silence, even just 10 minutes a day, reduces cortisol, lowers blood pressure, and enhances recovery after physical exertion. When your body is calm, it adapts better, it builds faster, stronger. But the most profound strength built in stillness is clarity. In silence, the fog clears, priorities reveal themselves. You begin to see which battles are worth fighting and which are just noise. Most people lose strength because they waste it on the wrong things. Silence trains you to conserve energy for the battles that matter. Imagine this in your own life. Of being pulled in 100 directions by the noise of the world, you enter silence daily. You give yourself time to reset, to breathe, to focus. Slowly, you begin to notice you're less reactive, more composed. You face challenges with calm. You handle setbacks without breaking. People around you sense something different. It's not louder, not more aggressive, but deeper, steadier, stronger. Inner strength, and it's forged in stillness. History is filled with examples. The greatest warriors meditated. The greatest thinkers sought solitude. The greatest leaders carved time away from the crowd to be alone with their thoughts. They knew what neuroscience now confirms: silence is not weakness. Silence is training. Silence is growth. So I ask you, what would happen if you gave yourself permission to build strength in stillness? Not rushing, not forcing, not chasing noise, but stepping back, creating space, allowing your mind, body, spirit to grow roots deep enough to withstand any storm, because storms will come, challenges will rise, distractions will compete for your attention. But if you have built yourself in peace, trained your nervous system in stillness, you will not be shaken, you will not be broken, you will stand grounded, focused, unshakable. That is the power of silent focus. It builds not just productivity, not just success, but inner strength, the kind that cannot be taken from you, the kind that grows silently in peace until the world cannot help but notice. Power is often misunderstood. People think it comes from being louder, faster, or stronger than everyone else. But in reality, true power does not come from chaos. It does not come from endless noise. It comes from peace, because peace is not the absence of strength. It is the foundation of it. Let's break this down. Your brain and body are designed to conserve energy. Every time you are distracted, overstimulated, you leak energy. That energy could have gone toward learning, building, creating, or performing. But instead, it's wasted in noise. Now imagine the opposite. You train your nervous system to operate from a place of calm, silent focus. What happens? Your decisions become sharper. Your energy is directed with precision, expands because your mind is no longer fragmented. That's what peace does. It creates space, it creates clarity, and from that clarity, power emerges. Let me give you a scientific example. Show that when the brain is in a calm, focused state, the prefrontal cortex, the seat of decision-making, planning, and willpower, functions at its highest level. But when you're stressed and overwhelmed, very same system shuts down, leaving you reactive, impulsive, and weak. Peace is not just a feeling. It is a state of optimal brain function. And this has direct implications for performance. Whether you're an athlete, an entrepreneur, a student, or simply someone trying to become better each day, your ability to access peak performance depends on your ability to find peace in the middle of challenge. When the world is chaotic, when pressure is high, can you quiet your mind enough to stay clear, to stay deliberate, to stay powerful? History gives us endless proof of this principle. Think of great leaders who carried an aura of calm even in the face of storms. Think of athletes who, in the final seconds of the game, are steady while everyone else panics. Think of creators who produce masterpieces not because they're in chaos, but because they protect their peace. Their power comes from their inner stillness. And here's something important. Peace is not passive. It's not retreat. It's not about avoiding the world. True peace is active discipline. It means you are choosing where to place your attention. You are controlling your breathing, your thoughts, your actions. You are not at the mercy of noise. You are the one directing the flow of your energy. This is why silence and peace are such powerful training grounds. Environments where you learn to take control of your mind and body. Every moment you spend in deliberate stillness is a rep for your nervous system. Just like lifting weights strengthens muscles, silence strengthens your control over energy, focus, and resilience. And the result, you carry that power everywhere. When someone criticizes you, you don't break, you respond with clarity. When challenges arise, you don't panic, you find solutions. When opportunities appear, you don't hesitate, you act with precision. That's peace-creating power. But let me take this even deeper. Biological principle at play here. When your nervous system is calm, your vagus nerve, one of the most powerful regulators of mind and body, activates. This nerve lowers stress, boosts recovery, improves digestion, strengthens immunity, and balances heart rate. In short, peace literally builds a stronger, healthier, more powerful version of you at the biological level. And think about the compounding effect. 10 minutes of silence a day isn't just 10 minutes of rest, it's a foundation. Over weeks, months, and years, you're rewiring your brain for clarity. You're rewiring your body for resilience. You're teaching yourself to access power on command, not through noise, not through chaos, but through inner calm. Now imagine applying this to your goals. You want to build a business. Peace keeps you focused through the ups and downs. You want to master a skill. Peace gives you the patience to practice deeply. You want to win in life. Peace gives you the strength to persist when others quit. Peace multiplies it. Noise scatters focus. Peace directs it. Noise weakens you. Peace makes you unstoppable. So the next time you feel pulled into chaos, remember this: true power is not found in fighting every battle, not in being louder than everyone else, not in constantly moving. True power comes from peace, the silent, unshakable strength you build within. Because when you master peace, you don't just survive storms, you control them. You don't just endure challenges, you rise above them. And you don't just win battles, you win wars. The ultimate truth: peace creates power. Vive. There's one lesson to carry with you. It's this: silence is not weakness, and peace is not the absence of growth. Silence is training. Peace is power. In a world drowning in noise, your ability to focus in stillness will be your greatest advantage. It is in those quiet hours that your mind sharpens, your discipline strengthens, and your vision clears. Noise centers you, noise depletes you. Peace builds you. The most powerful version of yourself will not be built in chaos. It will be built in silence through deliberate focus, calm discipline, through inner peace. So step away from the noise, step into the silence, build yourself in peace, and watch how your silent focus grows into unstoppable victory.